You a good guy, man. You deserve to feel good in here.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
so you guys just do what you gotta do to take care of yourself.
Exactly.
You know.
Just try to get one step at a time so I can start being more active in my kids' lives and all that.
Yeah.
I have one question for you. It's a little bit off topic and it's a little more personal. When I get into this conversation with my peers, one of the backlashes I get often is that those with mental health illness, if they've committed a crime that is violent, don't they deserve to be in prison because they pose a threat to society and maybe they are just beyond help?
Right. Well, there's different levels of the criminal justice system and mental health system. That if it's a serious crime, they're deemed a forensic client, and some of those clients are in state-run hospitals for months and maybe years at a time. The people that I deal with, I get out of jail on all misdemeanor charges and low-level felonies.
Okay.
And I'm not going to agree or disagree. I think it would obviously be on an individual case by case, and we can't categorize everybody because we don't know everybody's personally and their history and their prior records and stuff like that. So I think there's a lot of things that we can make, to make that decision per case. But
Right.
I believe that, if rehabilitation is possible, why can't anybody try to do that?
I agree.
Have you been able to take this to any other places and see it work yet?
Any other communities, you mean?
Yeah, like I heard something about California having this.
Well, I mean, like I said, there's a lot of similar things, and what I realized when traveling the country is every community has a little bit of something else. Some people have more funding, some people have more treatment facilities, some people have better schools. You know what I mean? Every community is unique and different, and the thing is that everybody has to find their mesh, to make it work for them. But, looking as a realist point of view is that, why can't there be some kind of unified mental health system along with the criminal justice system, along with if somebody is diagnosed or something happens by the age? We really need to be identifying people in schools. We really need to be identifying this early and getting people the help they need so they don't cycle into jail. Into juvenile justices and whatnot, because this is where it starts. Everybody was a child once, and we need to start young and start identifying them in schools and go from there.
That's a really great idea to start implementing it right into the school system.
That's why we keep going with our podcasts. Every podcast we do, the school system comes up. It all starts there.
Yeah.
Defunding the police. I just wanted to say, and I'm going to do a TikTok about it because it really pissed me off when I first saw that defund the police, and I thought it meant exactly the literal translation of that word, and that's not what I later came to find out it was. Do you? Or are you willing to put yourself out there to talk about moving? What is your position on moving resources to be able to help
Well, I think
enforcement?
I think the word defund is one of these catchy phrases that is taken out of context right now.
I think it was a stupid mistake. Whoever came up with that word.
I don't really put a lot of trust. I don't put a lot of trust in anything.
As the moderator.
Okay.
I don't put a lot of trust in anything I really see in the media without reading too many different articles on either side and weighing out statistics and what they're really talking about before I make an educated guess, because that's all it really is a guess. We're only getting this bits of information that they're feeding us. And the thing is that when I hear about reassociating funds, I would obviously not like to see people lose their jobs that are good people and have families and stuff like that. And I hope that's not what it's about at all. But if it comes down to more money for training and resources and community prevention on crime and training on mental health and having social workers and peer specialists, and that we can help, like we talked about earlier, the community and better the community, then I think that would be great. And I think that anybody that worked in law enforcement for a long time would agree that, you know, we need to try different things because, you know, they have seen the same people on the street time and time again. And wouldn't it be great to see them get better and not have to arrest them all the time? Because, you know, when they get out of jail, they're going right back to that street corner. So when I hear that, you know, catchphrases and people, oh, this and all that, you know, I'm not too keen on that. So I just want to see the result. And I think a lot of people are just waiting to see the result, and that's to better their community without putting people's jobs at risk, without, you know, too much stigma attached to what's going on nationally, and that we can all agree that more training is needed for police, more training is needed for the community, for family members, and more people need to be on the same page and, you know, be able to voice their concerns, you know.
Makes sense.
So the question that I have for you, Justin, is can you tell us of a story or an anecdote of where you have seen this work, without naming names, obviously, or anything like that, a story of the success of the program?
Oh, you mean like something I've experienced working here?
Correct.
Oh, okay. So you want a good story or a bad story? I could tell stories all day. I mean, we could be on the phone another couple hours.
I truly believe in the project. I believe in what you're doing. And so I want to hear, which I've never discussed with you, I would like to hear a good story, something that turned out positive because of this.
A success story.
A success story.
Okay. Well, let me first start by saying I work with other peer specialists, 4 of which have been through the program and are now employed by us. So that's great because they all have criminal justice history and they're all current employees that work with people in the system and get people out of jail, who we are all graduates of this program. But as somebody that I worked with, I would think of somebody that got out of jail probably about 6 years ago. And I remember he was very needy, and I need a toothbrush, I need this, I need that. And we often buy these things, and I have food fundraisers and stuff to get people supplies. And he goes, I just want dental floss. I just want dental floss. And I'm like, this guy, you've been in jail so long, you haven't flossed your teeth, just the things we take for granted, and I got him dental floss, and I took him to an AA meeting, and, he ended up getting his own place and getting employed and graduating the program and staying clean. And, it's just a miracle of sobriety, and to see people, get on the right track and to still be in contact with these people years later. There's a lot of people I still talk to years later that have made it through the program, and, it's on a different level of mutual respect to know what they've been through. I know people that have gone home. I've known people that have gone back to Russia successfully, that were stuck here in immigration binds, and the program was able to buy a plane ticket and send somebody back home, and sent somebody to Central or South America one time. Amazing things, to see people reunited. The guy from South or Central America was on vacation in Miami and got caught up and got stuck here. And we were able to close out his case and send him back successfully.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
When you say has been through the program, what is the program?
As far as the peer specialists that work with us?
No, when a person, one of your
clients, we call them.
Clients, right. One of your clients, what programs are you putting them through? Like, for example, if it's addiction, you put them into AA. If it's psychological, you take them to a doctor.
Everybody in our program has to have a mental health diagnosis to be a part of it, and can have a co-occurring substance abuse disorder. But they have to get some kind of outpatient services somewhere at a mental health provider, receive medication, drug testing, drug counseling. It can be many different providers in Miami-Dade County. It has to be in the county. They have to live in a recovery house or some kind of supportive housing if they don't have their own setup, which a lot of them don't. And they have to stay abstinent. And if they do well for up to 12 months, the court will close out their case. And we have a little graduation ceremony. They have a little certificate. We all clap for them. It's really nice. It's really nice.
That must
That
feel
would
great.
be unreal. It would be unreal if we had something like that all over the country.
Yeah, I'm like, as soon as we get off this call, I'm about to go look up to see if we have something here in Hudson County. Like, that's like one of the I'm serious.
All right. Well,
I think you've blown her out of the water. I've never seen her this quiet. She's processing like crazy.
I'm processing a lot because, to be completely honest, this is like I said earlier when I started this video, this is a very personal topic too. So,
okay.
I'm digesting. What are the ways that I could get involved in my own community? Is probably my first question. Now that I've had a second to think about it.
You know, a lot of this stuff, let me just respond to her real quick. A lot of this peer counseling is virtual now, and you can even be a volunteer in your county with NAMI, N-A-M-I. There's some simple free online courses to take, and you could be like a peer counselor. Really? Yeah, not like certified, like all that stuff. You need training hours and stuff, but to do some kind of work with people in recovery, I think that would be good. And there's a lot of younger people, college kids and stuff like that are able to reach out online that, you know, have access, you know, so something to look forward to.
And then I guess, how do you educate, because I believe really strongly that it's important, yes, to like educate nationally, but I think, you know, one of the things that you said earlier really like sparked when you said that it always is with somebody you know. Right. Like for me, something that I could relate it to is like when I came out as a lesbian. Right. Then all of a sudden my friends who had been homophobic were like, oh, but we know her and she's a normal person. We don't hate gay people anymore. Like it once it became somebody they knew and familiarized, it's all of a sudden toned down the issue. And I've kind of noticed it's sort of similar with mental illness. So there obviously are programs that are important and national education that is important, but like on a day-to-day level, when these conversations come up and there's somebody who says things like one of the things that like there's I think there's like a huge stigma with schizophrenia. The word schizo, I think they're like very targeted more than any other like group. Than
I see where you're going with this. Yeah.
So how do we learn to speak to that? Like, are there resources that we could refer, like, or how do you become educated enough to be able to help people understand who have not met that person in their life?
It's very challenging. It's very challenging when you see somebody on the street corner that if you didn't know them before, and then just to see the end result and not put a person to that, a face, you know, a story to that person. And I guess that's hard to tell. How, you know, we talk about what's going on in this country. You know, we talk about compassion in the country on other issues. How would we teach it to something like that? And it's all kind of relative, but it's all kind of the same mentality in America. And it's kind of like the strongest survive, and they look at it as a weakness. And
pull yourself up by the bootstraps.
Huh?
Pull yourself up by the bootstraps. Those who don't believe in this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, you know, I don't even share my diagnosis because I don't like people with stigma. And, you know, I had a serious mental health issue, and I didn't get into it really on the call, but I was bad. I was bad, you know. I was like,
I'm sorry I shared. I didn't mean to, I didn't make you uncomfortable. I'm very open about it. That's just my way of... No,
I speak very openly about it too. But I'm just saying, you know, it's hard to build that compassion for somebody that you don't know. And I guess the biggest thing would be, you know, just are you talking about something in particular that you could be more specific on, or are you just talking about in general?
I guess in general, right? You know, where I guess like a situation where, you know, you're with an older peer group, and we're in the streets of New York City, and there's a guy talking to himself, and someone's like, should we call the police because they're drunk and they're like a danger?
Right.
Like, oh, they're schizophrenic. Like, how can as a
You know what
peer,
you do? You know what you do? You go and you buy them a slice of pizza, and you walk up to them, and you give them a slice of pizza and a soda, and you walk away. And that's how you do it, by leading by example, by being that person that breaks that stigma and breaks that boundary.
every time I do something like that, I get so much judgment because I give very freely whenever I see somebody who's homeless, and like sometimes I'm like, here's $20. I don't even care where you spend it. It's none of my business. You need what you need. And people, why would you give that person $20? Like, you don't know them. You don't know what they're going to go do with it. Like, what's wrong with you?
But I think that goes back to what Justin is saying, that you lead by example. You're going to do it either way because it's what you want to do. And I think that's really, it's very heartening to hear you say that, Justin, that you just lead by example.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, if that's true to you and your values, you can't also define other people's values. And if they don't get it, they say keep your circle tight. Don't let everybody in. If those people aren't going to be like that and not appreciate something like that, then maybe those aren't the people you want to hang out with. But I don't know you, so there you go.
That's a good point.
You just taught me something really important there.
Yeah.
Justin, man, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to do this.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
You're definitely one of those God sends that, those angels that God sends around to show you that there is good in the world. And I'm not trying to blow smoke up your ass. I really do. You do know that I admire you, and I hold you up there as one of the strongest people in the community that I've ever met. So I just want to thank you for that. And I want to thank you for sharing this story, and hopefully we'll be able to talk to you again.
That'd be great.
Bring you back and have more conversations about other things.